basically, I want to say, a simplified version of my way of tracking the numbers. First off, of course, obviously the lottery numbers. These numbers right here represent where these numbers hit in this group. This is my count group. And it only counts 7 draws back, but I skipped the top draw to get the correct count. So in other words, the 12, this 2 represents that 12. So, and these are the actual lottery numbers. This 2 is what I'm looking at over here. So if I go over here, and you can see that it hit 2 times in the last 7 draws previous to this draw. So these counts are basically start right here and go down 7 draws. Um, so the first number was a 2. The 13 was also a 2. The 23 was also a 2. The 27 was a 0. And the 31 was a 0. So them numbers are the 0, 1, and 2. These are what they represent up here. If it's a 2 or higher, which you'll have a few threes, maybe a few fours in there. You can see here I had a 4 over here. Well, that represents a 3. If you go, 4 over, go 4 over, that's a 3. So the 0, 1, and 2 represents a 1, 2, and a 3 for this to work out. So these are positions for these lottery numbers. So the 12, 13, and the 23 all come out 2 times each, 2 or more times in the last 7 draws. The 27 and the 31, both of them had hit 0 times in the last 7 draws, so that's why they're zeros. Now this column over here is basically these numbers, but they go from low to high. This column here basically gives you an idea of how many ones, twos, and threes that you need to be looking for over here. In my last column over here, you can see that a 3 is not very common at all. So I don't like playing a 3 in my last position. That will generally be a 1 or a 2, which basically in the last position, obviously, they're always the higher number at the last. So you're looking at, just the last 10, 12 numbers, whatever, depending on what your last lottery number is. So you can see where, for the most part, it's in the 30s, and we have a few 20s just because that's the way Florida lottery is. But you can see we're here 30s, high 20s, you know, pretty much down through there. So, uh, but with that being said, I don't pick threes for this column. I just ain't going to do it. Same thing with the first column. If you look down through here, we had a bunch of numbers here that just don't have threes. So the threes are not that common. So I wouldn't have picked a 3 here, even though that's what come up last night. I just, the only way I would possibly consider a 3 here is if these numbers here within the top, 12 numbers or whatever, uh, I kind of look and see how many is what. There's 6 of them that are a 2 or higher. There's 5 of them that are zeros and one single. So I wouldn't have played the 9 period just because I got a better chance of either a 0 coming out or a 2 or higher. So your goal is to figure out whether this is going to be a 1 2 or a 3, or 0 0 1 0 0 2 0 0 3. So, but you're looking over here at, what you're looking to do is figure out if this is going to be a 0 1 or a 2, 0 1 or a 2, 0 1 or a 2, and 0 1 or a 2. This is showing what they convert to put them in these positions. So in this particular case, the 003, I wouldn't have picked the first two just because they came the night before. So in that case, if I thought that was going to be a three there, then I would have played the 5, 8, 11, or the 12 in the first position. These are lottery numbers up here in this column. These are your lottery numbers, and these are how many times that it came out in the previous 7 draws for my game. If it's a 539 game or a 542 game, it would be the previous 8 draws. So, uh, once again, lottery numbers are up here. How many times they come out in the last 7 or 8 games down there. So if you'd have thought that was going to, or if you'd have thought this was going to be a 2, the 2 represents a 003. So you would want anything that is a 2 or higher, which in this case would have been a 5, 8, 11, or a 12. I wouldn't pick more than 3 a lot of times, or 4. A lot of times I want 2 or 3 only. Um, but because we've been having a lot of high numbers in the first position down through here, I have to include a couple of them in the higher number range. So instead of picking just the 5 and the 8 or just the 2, 5, and the 8, I don't want to play the 1 or the 2 just because they come back to back in the previous draw. So I wouldn't play them for a repeat number. So I'd play the 5, 8, 11, and a 12. In the second position, again, it came as a 2 over here, which represented the 3. So I know the 5, 8, 11, and 12 is in my first position. So now I'm looking for numbers in the second position. So it's going to be from the 2 up. So it would have been, either the 13, 16, 21. In the third position, again, it came up a 3, so I would start at the 21. Actually, I'd start the one after the 21, which would be the 23, 29, or 30. The next position was a 1, so I would start over here at the higher numbers with a 0 count because the 1 represents the 0. So I'd start over here with like the 26, 27, Uh, and then the next one was a 1, and I would have, which is the 0. So I would have clicked a 0 count, which would have been a 31 or a 35, to get them to come out to my numbers. Basically, in the first position would have been a 5, 8, 11, or 12. I used the Digit Master for this. I I got everything here set for wild. Everything's absolutely wide open except for what don't apply. The 40s and the 50s don't apply for my game, so I zero them out. The group over here, this group also has no bearing because it doesn't represent any numbers in my game, so I automatically put block on that just so I don't confuse the program at all. So whenever I go to make my numbers, generate my lottery numbers, I simply put them numbers in each position. This is position 1, position 2, 3, 4, and 5. I don't want more than one number to come out of each one of them. So I have one number has to come from each one of them positions. I don't want more than one number to come from each one of them positions. Again, these are positions 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So whenever it generates my numbers, it's only going to choose one, at least one, not more than one of these numbers. At least one, not more than one, again, again, and again. So whenever I'll click the save button and then I will hit the run full wheel over here to generate my lottery numbers. Gives me an idea of what I'm going to play. So if my decisions over here are correct, if I would have chose the 3, 3, 3, 1, and the 1 for each position, then I could have put them numbers in. It would have generated 48 lines. And them 48 lines, that's obviously more than I want to buy. So I'm going to run auto cover to get them down. And then in this particular case, because it took 32 of them, it kept 32, and out of the 48, I'm going to clear my main file. So it done away with the 48 and left me with the 32 numbers. I'll export them back over so I can run auto cover again. I'll do that a couple times until I get down to a reasonable play number. 23 I think is pretty reasonable. So, and these were the lottery numbers that hit last night. You can see over here the 12, 13, 23, 27, 31. 12, 13, 23, 27, 31. So that's correct. Everything is running wide open, and I've got it down to 23 numbers. Out of that 23 numbers, I'd have still had the jackpot. So if you wanted to go down just a little bit further, you could split them numbers up. It left you with 9 numbers. Out of them 9 numbers, because I had the jackpot over here in the 23, I was still out of 9 numbers. I was still left with 1 4 out of 5 and 3 3 out of 5s. If we want to do that again, I'll run my full wheel one more time. And out of my 48 sets, whenever I run my auto cover, it's going to come up with a big number over here. Anytime it's a big number over there, you want to clear out your main, export that over, run your auto cover again. This is just to get your decisions down. So I want to clear my main, run that over again, and unless it picks less than half of them numbers, so at 16 numbers, I still have a good chance that the jackpot is going to be in that 16 numbers. So just, I don't know if that's going to be the case here or not, because it did take 10 of them numbers away. So we're going to run auto cover down to 10. I like that 10. This is the group that I would play. So if I was right, again, I lost my, out of that 26, when it was 26 and it knocked out 16 of them, or whatever it was. I don't remember now, but I would have still ended up with 1 4 out of 5 number and 3 3 out of 5s with the 10. But obviously you can see that the jackpot was there in the 48 sets by, if my decision was right, I would have had, that's 7 4 out of 5s and 17 3 out of 5s out of the 48 plus the jackpot. So even if I'd have bought 48 tickets, that would have been a very profitable deal. But that's how when I'm deciding what I want to play here, I take this 3 and then I look at the numbers that are 2 or higher, because and you make your little self a sticky note or whatever. Zeros represent a 001, a 1 represents a 002, and a 2 represents a 003. And it's 2 or higher, which is numbers that have hit more than 2 times, or 2 times or more in the last 7 or 8 games only. So this count does not represent this one right here. So for tonight, before I decide what I want to play, I will simply move all these down one. If I go down here and move everything down one column, I'll take these numbers and delete them out, so everything changes. Now my count is been adjusted up here. So now I want to decide what my numbers are going to be up here for tonight. So if I let's see, change my date up here to the 13th for tonight. Everything over here automatically changes. So now I'm ready to decide what I want to play for tonight. So these numbers don't mean anything just yet. As I put in my winning numbers here for tonight, then they will come into play. Um, Something that else that I look at is my twins or consecutive numbers. So, we've had a consecutive number there, we had a consecutive number there, we had a consecutive number there. So we've had them three draws in a row. I don't really expect a consecutive number in this group. So in this particular case, I would probably choose for this position here, I'd probably choose the 1. So a 1 represents the 0. So I'm only going to play numbers with a 0, and I have 4 of them here, but I'm not going to play consecutives. But I'll put in my digit master when I clear these. I change all these over here to a 1. Change all these over here to a 1. And this is right clicking or left clicking these numbers. And then position 1, position 2, position 2, position 3, position 4, and position 5. So then for tonight's draw, I'll put a 3, 4, 6, or a 7. I want 3, 4, 6, and a 7 because it's only going to choose one of these numbers. And then my next decision over here, I'll take a look at what previously drawed. I think it's going to be a 2. So a 2 represents a green, a number 1. The 002 is going to represent anything over here that is a green number. So in this particular case, I'd go a 9, 11, and a 14. 9, 11, and a 14. Go to my third position over here. Take a look and see what I've got for my third position. Again, you're not looking at these numbers right here. You're looking at everything below them numbers. So I'll look at my third position over here, see what I like. Um, I'm going to go ahead and see 14 was my highest number. I'm going to say that that's going to be a 1. So I want to pick 1 represents a 0, so anything that's in the zeros. So I'll go a 15, 17, 18, maybe a 20. So I'll click on the 15, 17, 18, and a 20. Fourth position over here, I'm going to look at it, and I will say kind of a tough one because over here 20 being the highest, I'm trying to look at what is above the 20, and what I look at is up to in this particular case the 30. So I've got 5 numbers that have hit, 4 numbers that have not hit. Um, I'm probably going to go with something that has hit, so I will probably make that a 3. So I'll do the 21, the 23, and the 29. So I'll go 21, 23, and 29. In my last position, I'm going to go with something that has previously hit, so which will be a 1. So that 1 represents a 2. So I think in the last position over here, it's going to be a 2. So the 2 represents the 1. So I'm going to go with a 31, 33, 34, and 36. I'll go with the 31, 33, 34, and 36. I'll click save that. Clear out last night's lottery numbers. And click run full wheel. See how many sets that makes. It's going to be 100 or so, I think. Oh, 576 numbers. So in this particular case, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to set a couple filters. So I'm going to look at my database. I like to set the HL and the LH. So I'm going to look at the HL. I'm going to make that one a 2. And I just, because I can look at that column real quick and see basically what I want to play, I'm going to make that one a 2. I want to take this one over here. I'm going to make it a 2 or a 3. So I'll leave that one running just a little bit wider open. The other ones that I like to set are the double odds or the double evens up here. So if I look at the DOs and the DE, DO, double odd, DE, double even, which means double odd 1 3, 1 5, 1 7. So in this particular case, I'm going to put a 1 here and have 2 of them. I will set again with the double even. I'm going to set at least 1, not more than 2. I'll clear out my filter, run the full wheel, and now I have 142. So out of that 142, I'm going to run my auto cover a few times to get that down to a playable set. Now when it filters out just a small number like that, you'll have to do this a few times. You simply hit split and it'll take them 11 out of the 142 of them. And then you'll do it again. You'll left click the export so it puts it into the main, run auto cover. And whenever it comes down, probably 7 to, 21 in this particular case. So I'm going to split that again. I'll get that down to 110, split it over here, run auto cover, and you'll just keep doing that until you get down to a reasonable set. In a case like this where it picks a whole bunch of these numbers right here, I would consider taking that, clearing my main, export the 32, uh, and then go again. So it took 10 out of the 32. I'll split that, leave me with 22 here, run auto cover, and it took 6 out, so I'll split that, leaves me with 16 numbers. I I generally don't like to spend more than $10, so I might run that one more time just to see, and it's not going to take any more down than the 10. So if I wanted to, I could right click that and it leaves me with 8. So that's the 8 that I would play, or I can split that and that's the 8 that I would play. So it took them away from that 16 and left me with them. So if my decision's right, them would be the 8 numbers that I would play for tonight. You can see what they come out to be. So that's what they look like. Take a look at that. And you can check my lottery numbers for tonight. But that's how I play. You're deciding which one, you're deciding what you want to play in each position, whether it be a 1, 2, or a 3. And, if you look at the 1, if you say you think this and here's going to be the 3 represents a 2 or higher. So maybe I should do a 2 plus over here. So if I think it's going to be a 2 hits or more, if it's going to be a 3, then I'm looking for a 1, a 2, an 8, or a 12 to be one of my first digits. My second digit, like I said, I think that's probably going to be a 1 for my second digit. So a 1 represents a 2. A 1 is in green. I need to change these colors so they match the chart over here. The 2 should be a green number. 3, the 2 or 3 should be the blue number. So that's a little bit confusing here. Um, but once you realize what you're looking at here, so that's basically how you make your decision on your lottery numbers. Again, these are the lottery numbers. These are how many times it's hit in the seven or eight previous games. So not counting this first one. The reason you don't want to count this first game is that's the one that you're looking for. So these counts right here are basically represented from the next line down, and in my case, the last 7 games. So what we got? 6, 7. So these counts are for these 7 games. So them counts are these counts. So you can see, like in the number 2 position, it's hit 3 times in the last 7 games. 1, 2, and 3. So anyway, I hope that helps you make your decisions. Learn, figure out how to pick your lottery numbers. But it's long enough. Have a good day. Good luck.